She went from being a probation officer to being a felon, and at some point I have to wonder, is that even enough? This is actually an update to a case that I posted about in 2023. I'm going to try to go over it as briefly as possible before I get to the outcome. So on Sunday, January 15th, 2023, at around 6:25 in the morning, Benton police officers were called to Alcoa Road, where the Sakura Japanese restaurant is, after a teenage male had been struck by a vehicle. Officers got to the scene and they found a deceased 13-year-old juvenile who was walking down a South I-30 service road and had been struck by a vehicle. As it turns out, on Saturday night, the night before, there were 4 juveniles that were walking down that service road. These 4 juveniles, out of them, 3 of them were reported runaways. Now, they were walking down the service road because they decided to walk to Little Rock. So that's how they were all walking down the service road when their one companion, the 13-year-old, was struck by a vehicle. The juveniles, the runaways, were afraid to call and report that their friend had been struck by a vehicle because they were afraid that they might be arrested since they were runaways. They put it off, but finally, one of the juveniles did call the police out to the scene. So the juveniles all were taken to the police department where they were questioned or interviewed about what happened, and they all individually told police basically the same story. They told police that their friend, whose actual name is Zarius, was walking kind of in and out of the roadway when he was struck by a vehicle. Now, the vehicle struck him and kept going. Police were able to find debris at the scene to help them to identify what sort of vehicle it was that struck Zarius. Now, it turned out that the vehicle was a Nissan Pathfinder that was manufactured between 2017 and 2020. And when I said that there was debris from the vehicle, I mean like part of the quarter panel was actually found where the vehicle struck Zarius. So like I said, the driver of the Nissan Pathfinder disappeared. They could not be found. Police didn't know who it was that drove the vehicle that just ran over Zarius and then disappeared until a call was received by an employee of Arkansas Parole and Probation. Now, that employee, who was an area manager, called police on Monday. So over 24 hours after the accident, whenever police were actually like announcing what sort of vehicle it was and that they were searching for the person that was responsible for the death of Zarius. So this area manager called police to tell police that she received a call from one of her employees, Jerica Speed, who was a parole officer. And Jerica told her that she thought she might be responsible for striking and killing Zarius. So police were able to make contact with Jerica Speed, and Jerica told police that she thought she hit a deer. But then when she heard the description of the vehicle that was responsible for the accident that killed Zarius, she contacted essentially her boss that called police and reported it. Now, police asked Jerica to come in and speak with them. Jerica said she would contact an attorney and would have that attorney call to set up an interview. Now, Benton police obtained a search warrant for Jerica Speed's vehicle. They also met Jerica Speed at her attorney's office to conduct an interview. And during that interview, Jerica told police that she went to Little Rock the evening of the accident with a couple of her friends. They went out, I guess, clubbing or to bars, whatever you want to call it. She was the DD, and she said she didn't drink any alcohol. So Jerica said they were traveling down that service road. She was concentrating on the white lines. Her sober self was concentrating on the white line. She says she hit what she thought was a deer. And because they were close to her friend's house, she just decided the car is running. I'll just wait till I get to my friend's house and check out the damage there. And when she got out and checked out the damage, she realized that the vehicle was indeed damaged. She said she didn't see blood or hair or anything like that, but she was freaking out because she had caused damage to that vehicle, and that vehicle wasn't even actually hers. She had borrowed her mom's vehicle that day. Now, that day, sometime during Sunday, her mother called her and told her about the Benton Police Department press release involving the death of Zarius. Now, Jerica set on that, knowing that she likely caused this death and didn't say anything to anyone, I guess, until the next day when she called her supervisor, and her supervisor, like we said, contacted police. And when police asked Jerica, like, hey, did you see kids walking on the roadway or anything? She said she didn't see anybody. She didn't see any. So then police interviewed the two friends that Jerica went out with that night. Now, Jerica said that she had nothing to drink, but one of the friends actually confirmed that she bought a drink for Jerica, and Jerica paid her back via Cash App. There were also two drinks that were purchased on Jerica's card, but Jerica said that she purchased them for her friends. Now, one of Jerica's friends did say that she fell asleep in the car on the way home. She woke up to Jerica yelling and freaking out. Jerica was saying that she had a deer. And I guess, like, at some point, it came out that Jerica actually has diabetes. I'm guessing type 1. And that during all of this, Jerica's blood sugar started to drop, and Jerica took some insulin at her friend's house right after Jerica ran over Zarius. When she got to her friend's house, she took some insulin and then went to check out the damage on the vehicle. So when Jerica Speed was interviewed by police, they repeatedly asked her if she had consumed alcohol that night, because not only were there receipts that showed that she had purchased alcohol, but there was even like one video that showed that her friend tried to take a drink away from her. She pretty much maintained that she had not consumed alcohol that night. That drink that her friend tried to take away from her was water. Her friend just maybe thought that it was alcohol. Jerica Speed told interviewers that she thought that she hit a deer that night because closer to Hot Springs, she had seen deer earlier on in the evening. Now, when police asked her more about that, she couldn't describe really where it was exactly that she saw the deer, but she said that she had seen 3 deer earlier on in the evening, which is why she thought that she struck a deer when she had actually struck the young man. Now, I personally think that that's a bunch of baloney. Now, I think that that's baloney because who says, oh, I must have struck a deer? Either you saw it or you didn't. And also, you saw 3 deer earlier on in the evening, so you just assumed that you struck a deer. Like, that could be said for anywhere in Arkansas that you saw 3 deer earlier on in the day. And what? It's just my opinion. So Jerica Speed was arrested and charged with negligent homicide, leaving the scene of an accident involving personal injury or death, and obstruction of governmental operations. Last month, in August 2024, Jerica Speed accepted a plea deal. As part of the plea deal, they dropped the negligent homicide and the obstructing governmental operations, and she pled guilty to the 1 count of leaving the scene of an accident involving personal injury or death. Now, that charge is a felony, but Jerica Speed won't be heading to prison just yet. Jerica Speed was sentenced to serve 60 days in county jail. She was given credit for time served, the time that she served in county jail. So she still has a little while to go, and the court has allowed her to serve her jail time on the weekends. Also, she has 8 years of probation. We can speculate what actually happened all day long. I mean, does it look questionable that she hit a kid on the side of the road and then left, went home, and didn't show her face basically until she was for sure sobered up? If she had been drinking the night before, sure. Regardless of the reason why she did what she did, the fact remains that Zarius lost his life and his family lost their loved one. Do you think the sentence is fair in this case?